Hello everybody and welcome to a slightly rainy Suwon track here today. Not as wet as yesterday, but it will be lights out and away we go here for the South Korean Grand Prix. Will Martin looking to stay in the lead with Dennis not having the greatest start, being at the back of the grid. Querbel now up to second by default, and Victor now being challenged by his teammate, I believe that is. Yes, it is. So a good start from Leon actually to get himself up into the challenging positions here for the podium. No DRS no, there is DRS, sorry. For the drivers here to start off the race. It is Querbel in P2, Victor chasing behind him closely, and Querbel's teammate Leon just behind him, looking for a good race for both Antarctic drivers, with only Leon putting points on the board. Victor on the mediums at the moment. It doesn't look like the better strategy, although it could all change depending on the weather. As we look now down the DRS straight, it looks to be Dennis putting pressure on Leon back there as math goes off, and it started to rain heavily. So not good for the dry compound users who are hoping for it to go a bit on the drier side, but as you can see there, really, really wet. The drivers will surely all pit as we see Victor struggling heavily in these conditions, not suiting the dry compounds at all. So the gamble that those took on the dry compounds really not paying off. As now we see Dennis ahead of Querbel out of the pits. It's all wet so far as Leon looks to overtake Victor there. Victor not with a great start to this Grand Prix, of course losing out massively due to the weather changing rather rapidly to the very wet thunderstormy conditions. But Leon here with both DRS sections as Victor looks very squirmy on the exit there, maybe running a slightly lower downforce setup, but it will be Leon ahead up into P4 as it goes very deep there, giving Victor a chance to get back at him here, but he will not take advantage of it at the moment, Victor, as you can just see how unsettled this track is on the cars. Leon there heavily on the curbs, I believe, so that's not great for the Antarctic driver, looking to try and get ahead of Victor with DRS still being enabled somehow. Victor, a brilliant move there down the inside to get back ahead, but he doesn't look to have made the move stick. Both drivers a little bit wide on the exit of that turn as we momentarily look away to see Victor trying to cut back in, but it's not quite worked for the Haas driver. Very tight line there for Victor, which manages to allow him to get back ahead. Great battle between these two what could be said rivals if Leon would finish a race more often. He's been in some great positions so far this season, and he's looking to get in a better one here. He's hit a bit of a bump though, allowing Victor to just come back at him. So it's very neck and neck between these two drivers. Leon almost into a barrier. He's picked up a couple warnings though, so maybe he'll be picking up a penalty shortly. But now with DRS wide open, I'm sure he'll be looking to get back at the Polish driver now down the straight. He'll be looking to try get ahead, but nothing going so far as the track's just getting wetter and wetter, making these conditions harder and harder. As Leon now ahead up into P4, as you can see on the leaderboard now. But it's still quite close between these two drivers. Victor will have the helping of a second DRS sector here. Following along nicely, he'll be quite close. Maybe going for an overtake here if he can slam on the brakes later. Picking up a bit of a bump there, I believe. And Leon's gone wide again. He just can't seem to quite get that corner done. As we now go on board with the Haas car, heading into the second sector of this track. Very close between these two. He's going to look for a move, but Leon shutting the door on him. Still nothing going. Victor around the outside here, looking for a move. He's taken way too much curb there, the Haas driver. Has not gone well for him. So, no move from what can be seen here from Victor. Looking now towards the fifth lap almost, as Victor massively gaining in that corner. He's got so much downforce that might be over Leon maybe, as he's weak through the final corner. Victor steaming past him without DRS there. And now neck and neck into the first turn. It's actually Leon still ahead, surprisingly, after that bad exit. Victor trying to make a move. Nothing seemed to be sticking for either driver. Leon taking a wide line there. Doesn't seem to have done much if we could hopefully cut back. And it is Victor ahead. Is that Leon off in the background? He's gone off there. Maybe taking a bit of a spin. and that will be his chances for the 4th position over. We now see Dennis charging at will here to maybe try and take the lead off him before the session gets red flagged. It's awfully close, just 5% more, and I'm sure the FIA will drop the red flag due to undrivable conditions. It's already bad enough for the drivers. I think there's been some complaints so far on team radio about the conditions and how it may or may not be red flagged. But Dennis looking for the attack here on the race leader so far. He's caught up to him massively. Big difference between these two in these conditions. Will obviously not preferring the wet compounds to maybe what the Red Bull likes of Dennis. But now second helping of DRS on this track. 1% more grows on the track water level. Dennis though still looking for an overtake here on the McLaren driver to put an end to what can be said is complete domination so far this race, as well as this season even. But he's looking to make a move, still just about there, a slightly different line through that middle sector, but still nothing going for the Red Bull driver. They seem almost crawling around these chicanes, as what we've seen in these slightly less damp conditions previously here in South Korea. Another percent added on, up to 87 now. It's Dennis looking to make a move. He's not quite got it just yet, and he's actually lost out a bit on the exit of that corner there. Not great for the I say Red Bull driver. It is actually meant to be a Haas car that he's driving here today. But we look now onto lap 7. Still another lap where the drivers are still running not quite red flag conditions just yet, but we are nearing it, certainly, for this Grand Prix. It would be a second in 2, I believe, red flags, that is, after last week's red flag after the session got a bit rained on, let's just say. But DRS now back here for Dennis. He's stayed within 1 second of the McLaren driver. He's looking to make another move. Still nothing going for the Haas driver. Not quite close enough to make a difference, as we now still see them going side by side. Will Martin just staying ahead for now, being helped out maybe by a certain helping of ERS, but Dennis with DRS still, and still charging towards him. He's going to look to make a move. He's side by side with the McLaren driver. He's taken a wider line, which really hasn't paid off well for him. Will still staying ahead into the second end of the second sector now through this tricky section. It's now up to 88% track water, so we're just getting closer towards that red flag quota of 90%, I believe it is. But we still see Dennis chasing down Will. Can he get ahead this for the remainder of this lap? It's highly unlikely, unless something big happens. He's going to try and make a move, cutting the corner a little bit there, but I believe he should be fine, as he's sort of dropped back a bit after that cut. Down onto lap 8 now. It's been surprising how there's been no DNFs this race, despite the very wet conditions. All the drivers managing to expertly navigate this track very cautiously, and very good so far. Dennis, though, he did pick up a warning in that final sector, so that's not great for the future, as we now head to 89% with very close to red flag conditions. But we haven't quite got there yet. Will looked a little bit shaky on the exit there. So Dennis trying to make it count whilst he's in the preferable conditions. He's looking to try and get ahead, but still nothing going despite having a significant reduction. As we now hit 90%, that is a red flag for the remainder of the session. We'll restart. So here we go, the race lights on again. It will be Will trying to get away well over Dennis. It's lights out and away we go again. And Will's stationary off the start. Not a good start for the McLaren driver. Wow, I didn't expect that from a man of his many talents. Believe that was JDT on the intermediates there for some reason, despite no wet conditions. But it's still all very close towards the midfield. As Leon there going off twice. He has picked up a warning, I believe, on his outlap, which is not good. But it's all very close. Will going in the back of the pack, and you just see how badly the intermediates are covering grip on this track with JDT there. It's Leon leading the way, but how long, I'm not sure for. as Dennis now ahead, I believe. Maybe no DRS just yet, but Dennis trying to lead the way. Nothing going so far. It's Victor as well, also trying the teammate, surprisingly, of Dennis. But we see in the lead of this race, I believe that is Quirble, actually. Never mind, his teammate is trying to fight for it, but as I say that, Leon wide there, allowing everybody to sneak down his inside and get ahead. I believe Dennis is actually into the lead of the race, never mind. Actually, no, he is. It's very hard to tell with the mix of lag and close racing that we've got here. I believe that's Quirble in the lead of this race. Very good from the Antarctic racing driver. Certainly not been on very good form this season so far, as we had a bit of lag. There it is, the two Antarctic racing drivers, followed by the two Haas cars, although one of them is technically a Red Bull, and a McLaren of Will. Not back in the lead of this race as you thought he would be, sort of gapping away at the moment, but he's not really found it that easy after the start. It will be Leon leading the way on lap 3 of this restart. Leon, though, seems to be cruising ahead, almost 5/10 ahead of the Haas driver of Victoria behind him, who's flooded with drivers chasing down on the Haas car. Quirble just behind. He'll have a helping of DRS thanks to being so close. But it will be Leon still in the lead. That Will Martin drifting very wide there and up into first place even, I believe. Great move from the McLaren driver. Massively helped off the DRS train that's almost going here. As we see, one of the drivers there, I think, picking up a bit too much curb. Dennis almost into a barrier there. The Haas car. All very close so far. The entire top 6 is within a second of the leader. So great driving from all of them. Now it is dry. But we just see the two Antarctic cars just out in front. Very good display from them so far here in South Korea. Will Martin, though, looks to be in the lead of the race, but it's different lines from all the drivers there throughout that middle sector there. Going over the bump. Oh, is that Leon even? Over the bumps there. I think that might have been Quirble, actually, given that Leon's battling for the lead of this race. Everybody's setting purple sectors so far. But it looks to be Leon and Will pulling away slightly as Quirble. They're very heavy over the curb and almost into the rumble strips. I think they were towards the pit entry. But it is still these two battling out for the lead. I think Dennis has been slightly dropped there as we look a bit further back at Victor, who takes a bit of curb there. But he stayed ahead of his teammate and of Quirble. And Math, actually, who is still in the talk of the final podium position, despite being so far back. He'll get helped out by DRS here along the back straight. Looks to be no major moves gained, although Victor is massively lost out there. As we go on board, you see the drivers fly past him with DRS wide open. And it will be Dennis picking up a warning, actually, as we see Math there up into third place. Like I said, it's anybody's game, really, in that pack there, as Will Martin looks to make a move. No DRS for either of them, I believe. And that's JDT now out. Will that be a safety car from the FIA? I don't believe so. It looks a little bit off the track, but still in a rather dangerous position. Will Martin, though, looking to go down the inside. He's picked up a bit of a bump there, not helped him on the exit, and helped even Leon, as we see them pass JDT there, I believe. Quite the obstruction, but Leon quite heavy there over the curbs. So not good for the Antarctic racing driver, and I believe that is now a safety car deployed. Bit of a delay from the FIA there, but the safety car has been called out, as it will be as it is, as all drivers come into the pits now for quite a handy stop to go onto a harder compound of tyre, I'm sure, as Victor stays out to lead the restart. Well, Will now able to go whenever he chooses after the safety cars now came in. He's got quite a bit of a gap to the drivers behind him there. So I'm sure when he does go, he'll have quite the advantage over everybody else. But it will be Leon, I believe, taking up the spot behind the McLaren driver, staying very closely there. I believe, yep, he has now gone quite a gap to everybody else behind him. As we look further back with Victor battling with, I think that's Quirble, as Mathis timed that one poorly, now into the pits, and that's not great for the Audi driver. But Victor are now looking to get ahead of Quirble after being a bit delayed on his pit stop, with everybody else coming in on lap 1 and Victor staying out for the extra couple laps. It is Quirble now actually staying just ahead, I believe, of the Haas driver. Everybody with DRS other than Will Martin, who is setting the pace early after this restart, and with leading the pack as of the moment. However, it could all change, as we've just seen previously, with all the drivers in the running for whatever position they can achieve. Leon, though, trying to hunt down the McLaren driver, everybody with DRS to be able to catch up to the McLaren driver, as it is Dennis looking to go for a move on Leon there as he gets a bit wide on the exit there, allowed the Red Bull straight through, but they will be neck and neck now into the second and third sectors. Heading out of the second sector now, it will be Dennis trying to make an overtake, Leon picking up a bit of a warning there, and Will even a little bit slow out of the second sector, so allowing everybody else just that bit closer of a gap. But Leon still looking to get ahead here, facing pressure from both behind as well as in front of him to make the move for Antarctic Racing. Quirble massively into the barrier there. I'm surprised he hasn't lost a front tyre with that move. It seems like he has stopped though, so not good for the Antarctic Racing driver. Another DNF for Quirble this season, not great, but Leon looking to continue on with Dennis just behind him. I think he's just going to be within DRS. It is. Leon will be getting DRS here, able to maybe fend off the Red Bull for another lap, as it looks fairly close between those two for the second place position, although Will is looking to extend his margin by quite a bit, despite the other two having DRS. But it looks to be this order for the next couple laps. Dennis, though, still with DRS. I think Victor even with DRS back there, looking to try and make a move, but nothing going. Dennis looking for a move, but just still nothing for the Haas driver. Leon a bit wide there, but nothing really going, as Will's quite slow through this sector. The other driver is able to massively catch up on him after that second DRS straight. But Leon there massively off. And that's second place, conceded for the Antarctic Racing car. Now, as we cut onto lap 18, it will be Will Martin leading the way. Dennis close behind him. It will be a very, it will probably be a battle towards the end of the race. Dennis still ahead now of Will Martin, looking to get back at him. I don't know if either will get DRS, no, but a driver who will get it will be Leon, so he'll be able to use his extra advantage to try and maybe challenge for the lead of this race as well. Very close between these three. Victor maybe just a bit too far back to be in the running for the lead of this race, with only a couple laps left here in South Korea. Will back in the lead of the race, but for how long? With how racy Dennis has seemed so far this weekend, it's surely a matter of sectors even until the Haas driver can get back ahead. Although saying that, he has dropped back a little bit from Will. Not as close running as before, so maybe Will picking... Oh, Leon there, massively off, I think. Yeah, he's almost hit a barrier there, but managing to survive it well. As we look back on the leaders of the race, and Victor now into the pits, maybe to go for a fastest lap attempt, as we saw him dive in the background there. Looks to be a rather controlling lead from Will, heading towards the end of this race. Dennis still looking to try and get back on him, but he might just be outside of DRS for this back straight, as Will there takes a bit of the curb on the exit there. That will give Dennis a great advantage to maybe get back in front of the McLaren driver. He will overtake even on the DRS straight. Will not able to keep up with the pace of that Haas/Red Bull car. Dennis setting a purple sector 1 even, so he's really pushing for the lead of this race now. No need to save tyres for the very few laps that remain. Neither of them with DRS again. I believe Leon is now too far behind. Yeah, he is, 2 seconds odd behind these guys to make a difference on the lead. It will be between these two. It'll be down to Dennis to stop the reign so far of the McLaren driver of Will so far this season. But even still, Will not out of it himself, as we saw somebody going quite slowly back there, I believe. Not sure who that was, But it will be Dennis still leading the race here. Not the best middle sector, but nothing improving from Will either. Down into the last couple corners, managing to keep it tidy. He's just got 2 laps more to go to stay with this, as Will looks to try and make a move, but he's still not able to the line. It's too close to call. Almost, well, neck and neck over the line even. But Will now back ahead of the Haas driver. Sorry if I do accidentally call it a Red Bull. It is meant to be a Haas, but he is in the wrong car for this Grand Prix. But now onto the back straight. Dennis will surely have DRS here on the McLaren driver to try and make a move and try and make it stick even. As we see Leon also a bit shaky out of that corner. Now, down the back straight, can Dennis get ahead? I'm sure he will with the extra speed that he will gain from DRS. It's very close between these two. Will looking to try and cover him off, but Dennis going straight through. Not into the lead of the race, actually. Will's managed to keep it ahead. Maybe just enough of a gap between the two to prevent that from happening again. Neither driver, again, with DRS on this second DRS straight, a bit smaller. So DRS a little less crucial there for an overtake. It will be Dennis leading the way. As I say that, he loses his position to Will. It's very close to call between these two as we see Victor going purple in Sector 1 there. The Haas driver looking to get an extra point on the board. Will, though, ahead of Dennis in the second sector. 1 lap to go. One of these drivers should probably win unless something very bad happens, in which case Leon will be there to prey on any mistakes. Dennis looking to try to get ahead, but he's still just not quite got it, and he's not able to make it stick. Different line there, and he's managed to speed past the McLaren driver, catching napping into the final turn. So he will be advantaged to Haas here at the last lap of the Grand Prix. Will looking to go around the outside. He's managed to make it move. Great move from the McLaren driver to sweep across and claim that first driver, but that will allow Dennis DRS on the back straight, which is very long. As I say that, he goes back ahead. Will have the helping of DRS now down this straight, although we have seen it hasn't been very influential. No drivers really making massive moves that last anyway for the next lap, but it does seem to be Will dropping back. Has he not got DRS there? That's massive for Dennis there. Will Martin maybe getting quite unlucky not to have DRS there. I'd assume he was, as he's so far behind. He'll get DRS here though to try and gain back on the Red Bull driver, maybe encounter a bit of traffic with JDT somehow still in the running after crashing out. Will Martin close, but he's not close enough to make a move or anything. He's hit a bump there, and that's massively impacted him. He's almost gone into a barrier there, and that's shaken him up quite a bit. That surely must be Dennis there, as we see Math, I think, back there, DNFing on the last lap. So not what the Audi driver would want, I'm sure, but certainly it will be fine. He'll get full points. Dennis close to a barrier there, but he's still managed to stay out of it. And towards the line now, bit on the curb, but he looks to have enough advantages. He's almost drifting around the penultimate curb. But it will be, for the first time this season, a different race winner. Dennis taking home the race win. Will Martin following behind him. Leon now to the line, doing a bit of drifting there. Expertly done from the Antarctic Racing. Sorry, I forgot which team you drive for. Victor now towards the line. He will have the extra point from fastest lap, so a good driving man as we see him narrowly dodge Leon's rather sloppily parked car, let's just say. But now we look onto the results of the Grand Prix. It will be Dennis taking home the full 25 points today, managing to just beat out Will Martin there for his first non-race victory of the season, surprisingly. As we look to Leon rounding out a brilliant race for the Antarctic Racing BMW Antarctic Racing team, taking home third position there. Good points for the team. Victorio taking home fourth position, and the extra fastest lap point going just a bit quicker than the rest on the final few laps. Math taking home 10 points for the Audi Racing team. Good drive from him to finish there. Kerbal DNFing there out of this race. Yet another DNF from the Antarctic Racing team. And again, not really going too well so far this season. And JDT DNFing again for Alfa Romeo. As we look now towards the team standings, it's Haas taking the lead off McLaren. the efforts of both Dennis and Victor going valiantly there to give Haas the lead over the, let's just say, one-man band of McLaren there. AlphaTauri third position there, staying in their spot. BMW in fourth position now, taking home 2 podiums so far this season. Audi Racing in fifth place there, just ahead of BMW of 12 points. As we look towards the drivers' standings, it's Will Martin now not taking 4 for 4, but he is still 3 for 4, which is very good, and which is what is giving him the lead of the standings so far. Victor 31 points off now, 2 third places and 1 second, so quite good there from the Haas driver. Also, 3 fastest laps. He seems to love a good fastest lap, that Victorio. And Leon also into third now. Good drive from the BMW driver. Dennis up into fourth position, just overtaking Jamal there. So a good win for Dennis here today. It will be Matt, taking home 6th position, and Alex the Gamer in 7th, the only other driver to finish so far in the season. So thank you very much for watching today's Grand Prix. We hope to see you next week, where we will be in Japan, I believe. A bit of a bad start to the season is being called from many of the drivers due to the bumpy nature of a few of the tracks so far. So thank you very much, and we shall see you for another action-packed race next week.